That's pretty insane.
because he's one of them.
Yeah, he comes from DMC and CEO and all of that other type of stuff.
He grew up with McNamara,
Yeah.
which was an independent, unapologetic Irish politician.
Yeah, he reminds me of I see his name at the terminal every time I hit
Yeah.
BTW.
Man, and Mac, man, hey, listen, if you want to learn from somebody, he was one to learn from. He was good. And I was watching him my whole life. But Mike started working with him when he was 22, 23 years old. He was his chief of staff by the time he was 25, 26 years old. And so he was in the rough and tumble politics and then went over to the corporate America, was making $1 million a year.
Yeah.
So he learned that. Now he's back in politics. So his natural personality of a bulldog, they know they can't back him in the corner. And since he's white and he's from their structure, he won't get the blowback from this media community as well. And so it's just been a really interesting thing to hear the comments now. I like it. It's the same kind of reason that, whether you like Trump or not, upsetting the political structure to the point where the people who have been entrenched in it forever have no idea how to handle the guy in office.
Yeah.
I like that kind of stuff. It's something to see when someone out of their ranks comes into a position where he now can put pressure back on them and has the personality to do it. That's a very interesting position.
They have, based off of perception, right? Because all of it is, from a Detroiter's perspective, it's all perception of what you think these billionaires are like versus what they really like. Because very few people are going to get in the room with them, right? Very few people are going to sit with Tom Gores or whatever, right? I seen his kid at the basketball game the other day, but very few people are going to get in the room with the platinum equity guy and all this other type of stuff, right?
Yes.
But the perception is from the people's is Dan Gilbert move fast, right? Whatever he say he gonna do is just be it going fast motion. Whereas the Illitches are more patient and they just they wait and they buy up land and all of this other. The Maroons, I've been studying Matty for a long time. I study all of these guys because I'm a fan of all of them, right? Buy up everything at the auctions. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I pay attention, right? And then I implement it on a smaller scale in my own life. Go ahead.
Their personalities are a lot like you described right there. But I would say this about the Illitches. They're different because just like now you have Matt Maroon running it, not Matty.
Yeah.
You have Chris.
Yep. Which was his son.
And instead of Mike.
Yep.
So the old guys, and ain't no old guy over there with Dan, so we'll keep that separate. But now the next generation, they're more corporate in their approach.
They went to he went to Michigan, right?
Yep.
Mike's son.
Yep.
Right, he went to Michigan and then he worked his way up and all of that. And even during the pandemic, he was going into the office.
Yes.
Right, because I knew a lot of people that worked there and things like that, right?
Too.
Yep.
Very cool dude, very measured. Mike and Coleman Young were tight. So these guys got together at the diner and had conversations about what we could do and get done. Same with Matty Maroon and Coleman Young. They had conversations. Nobody's doing anything on the West. Can I go over there and get this, get that? He always had a plan. They're so much different from one another in terms of personality. And now, since you got the second generation, Matt is not like Chris. Matt is very quiet, unassuming. He likes to spend time with his family. He wants to hang out with his family. His father was about that business. He was in that office.
Yeah.
Even Dan Stamper, who is his right-hand man, still over there, who worked all of the politics for that company, he's still in all. He's been there about 50 years, but he can't get out. He got this is what he lives and breathes. The next generation of people, they're more corporate in their approach. They're more strategic. They're more this, they're more that. But the old guys who built the company, I would say this about the Illitches, they really weren't getting involved. Mike wasn't getting involved in nothing that had nothing to do with him. And that's the difference between the corporations and the billionaires. I'm only going to politically engage if it has something to do with the stadium district.
Yeah.
I'm in. But if y'all doing something out there on something, I'm not about to get involved in that. When Dan came in town, he kind of crafted out the area that he wanted to be in, which happens to be the Central Business District.
Yep.
And so his name was in the paper all the time because we never had a maverick that says, I want to own everything down here.
Yeah, he bought up everything.
And so that was something big, but okay, stop him.
Well, it seemed like people feared him at first because they weren't used to, or they didn't know what was to come. But then when he bought up everything and then he started building everything on top of it, and then he moved a bunch of employees downtown as a result of it. Mm-hmm. And then you had CompuWare, right? Because again, one of the benefits of being able to go to school all through the 90s downtown, go to Cass Tech, catch the Hamilton bus all the way down here, right? And then to see the transition. I used to go visit my mom when it was MBD Bank up over there, right? Mm-hmm. I've seen the transition of what's happening in Greektown, and you know, I've seen what used to be CompuWare or what, you know, that get built. I've seen a lot of the transition. I've seen what happened on Jefferson, right? And I think that people just didn't know, so they kind of feared Dan Gilbert or feared him buying everything because they didn't. I think that people in general have a problem with one person controlling too many things.
If you really had a problem with it, the reaction is not an emotional one. Mm-hmm. The reaction has to be a power-based one. You know, all of this emotion, you know, everybody's so mad and squeamish and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so people power is what you have as your equity in the power conversation. Because most of us are not billionaires. We're not even multimillionaires. We don't even have that kind of access. But you should have it through your political person. That means you should make sure that your person is good at the table you're sending them to. And all of the emotional stuff we do is black folk in general. Just we don't like him. We don't like this person. I hate Kwame. I hate Archer. Stop it.
Do you think that that's changing though? Like, do you think that those people are kind of dying off and it's kind of evolving a little bit?
Well, I guess with the specificity of Kwame versus this and that, maybe, yeah.
Because the people, when I'm out and about, and when people stop me and they say, Anton, what up? You know, I love what you do or whatever. I don't see anybody that say anything negative to you or about you.
I think this is the reason, whether you like Kwame or you didn't, I think people are coming to realize it matters who sit in that chair. And if that person in that chair has a mind towards me on 6 Mile, 7 Mile, on Schoolcraft, on Gratiot, then that person, at least, whether I like them or not, I don't get, I'm in the conversation.
Yeah.
And that matters. I think that's what's happening. There's never been such a stark transition in that seat than it was between me and the 5 years after the Duggan. And so people now can see they have no access to government. So when Dan Gilbert says, I want to buy up a bunch of buildings, there's no group that goes down there and says, Mr. Mayor, we want this building not to be sold to Dan Gilbert.
Yeah.
We have put together a group. We have our financing in place. We want to make sure that at least 2 of these buildings can be for folks who are indigenous to this community.
Now, you know that's not going to happen.